I can no longer live a lie. I want to embrace the life I've discovered, with Darren, completely and without reservations. If you cannot accept that, then perhaps we have no future together. Calvin's heart pounded as he grappled with her words. You're telling me that everything we've built, our home, our family, is disposable, he demanded, his voice thick with despair and fury. Marissa's eyes shone with a mix of defiance and regret as she replied, I deserve to be free, Calvin. I can't keep sacrificing my happiness for a role that no longer fits me. Welcome to DCM Reddit, where stories of cheating wives are exposed. Let me know what time it is and where you are in the world. Subscribe to the channel and like the video. Now let's follow the story. At 43, Calvin Reed had built a life he believed was unbreakable. An innovative architect turned CEO of Reed Structural Innovations in the upscale suburb of Riverbend, he had dedicated his career to designing structures that could withstand the unpredictable forces of nature. At home, his world appeared flawless. He shared a stylish, modern residence with his wife, Marissa Reed, a 40-year-old creative director whose vibrant laughter once filled every corner of their home, and their stepdaughter, Liana, a bright 18-year-old with dreams that stretched far beyond Riverbend. Every Sunday morning, Calvin would gather his family around the sun-drenched breakfast table, where the aroma of fresh coffee and warm toast mingled with shared laughter and gentle conversation. For years, the Reed family had been a portrait of unity and promise. Yet, behind the polished facade, Calvin began to notice subtle signs that the bonds he cherished were starting to fray. Marissa's once constant smile now carried hints of melancholy, and she often retreated into long, hushed phone calls that left her distant. Liana, once the embodiment of youthful exuberance, sometimes wandered the halls in silence, as if burdened by unspoken worries. Late at night in his private study, surrounded by blueprints, awards, and the memories of past triumphs, Calvin felt a disquiet stirring in his soul. What he had built with love now seemed like a fragile mirage. One cool autumn evening, Marissa announced that her agency would host a grand gala celebrating the launch of an ambitious new campaign. Though Calvin preferred quiet evenings immersed in design revisions, he agreed to accompany her. At the glittering venue, a grand hall illuminated by cascading chandeliers and alive with the hum of sophisticated conversation, Marissa was breathtaking in a scarlet gown that hugged her graceful form. Yet even amidst the festive atmosphere, Calvin's keen eyes detected unsettling details. As he mingled with guests, Calvin's gaze was repeatedly drawn to a charismatic man in a tailored suit, Darren Cole, a senior account executive known for his magnetic charm. Every time Marissa's eyes lingered on Darren, even for a moment too long, Calvin's heart clenched. Later, as they left the gala and drove home under a canopy of stars, Marissa reassured him with gentle words and a soft kiss on his cheek. But the images of her subtle glances and the effortless laughter shared with Darren refused to fade from Calvin's mind. The warmth of that night began to cast long, cold shadows over the harmony he once believed they shared. In the weeks that followed, the cozy rhythm of the Reed home grew discordant. Marissa increasingly withdrew into herself, her phone conversations became more secretive, and her absences during family meals multiplied. Liana's once cheerful chatter turned muted as she retreated into herself. Calvin, a man of precision and order, found his intuition screaming that something was terribly wrong. Unable to ignore the gnawing doubts, Calvin made a decision that pained him deeply. He hired a private investigator. Over the course of several agonizing weeks, the investigator gathered a dossier that shattered Calvin's world. The evidence was damning: photographs of Marissa and Darren sharing intimate moments at after-hours dinners, a trail of text messages filled with affection and coded promises, and bank statements recording lavish outings that exceeded their means. With every new piece of proof, the foundation of trust that had once supported his life began to crumble. One stormy night, as rain lashed against the windowpanes of his study, Calvin sat surrounded by his prized accolades and blueprints, confronting the inescapable truth: his wife's betrayal was not only a personal wound but a threat to everything he had built. That very night, with the tempest raging outside and the darkness reflecting his inner turmoil, Calvin summoned the courage to confront Marissa. In the quiet intimacy of their living room, once a sanctuary of shared dreams, he found her seated on the edge of the sofa, her eyes distant. His voice, trembling with both sorrow and anger, broke the silence. "Marissa, we need to talk. I know about Darren, and everything else." For a long, heart-wrenching moment, Marissa's face registered shock and regret before hardening with resigned defiance. "Calvin, I never meant to hurt you," she began softly. "What started as a simple friendship evolved into something I couldn't control. I'm sorry." "Sorry?" Calvin's voice cracked as he repeated the word, each syllable laced with the weight of shattered dreams. "We built our lives on trust and love, and now you say it was just a mistake." His eyes, red-rimmed and filled with unshed tears, searched hers for any sign of the woman he once adored. But all he found was an emotionless resignation. Marissa's whispered admission, "I feel divided, Calvin." "I needed freedom," fell like a dagger between them, sealing the fate of their union. In the days following their painful confrontation, the atmosphere in the Reed household became unbearably tense. Marissa, whose once vibrant presence now radiated cold determination, issued an ultimatum on a stormy night when thunder echoed like a mournful dirge outside. "Calvin," she declared, her voice resolute despite the tremor of sorrow beneath it, "I can no longer live a lie. I want to embrace the life I've discovered, with Darren, completely and without reservations. If you cannot accept that, then perhaps we have no future together." Calvin's heart pounded as he grappled with her words. "You're telling me that everything we've built, our home, our family, is disposable?" he demanded, his voice thick with despair and fury. Marissa's eyes shone with a mix of defiance and regret as she replied, "I deserve to be free, Calvin. I can't keep sacrificing my happiness for a role that no longer fits me." In that charged moment, the unthinkable became undeniable. The trust and love that had once united them were shattered beyond repair. The weight of the ultimatum pressed down on Calvin's soul, and he realized that clinging to a relationship mired in betrayal would only destroy him further. Unable to bear the relentless ache of betrayal, Calvin retreated into his work. Night after night, he immersed himself in designing a new bridge, a revolutionary structure that symbolized resilience and renewal. His state-of-the-art studio, filled with the blueprints of past successes and future aspirations, became his only sanctuary. Yet, even as he poured his pain into every line and curve, the memory of Marissa's betrayal and the bitter taste of lost trust haunted him. Marissa, on the other hand, threw herself into her newfound freedom. She attended glamorous social events, formed alliances with influential figures in her agency, and indulged in the excitement of being with Darren. But each exhilarating moment was shadowed by guilt and regret, a painful reminder that the cost of her liberation was the disintegration of the family she once vowed to cherish. Liana, watching from the periphery, grew increasingly silent, her youthful optimism dimming as the cracks in her family's foundation deepened. As the months passed, the Reed home transformed from a haven of shared memories into a cold battleground of isolation and sorrow. The echoes of laughter that once filled its halls were replaced by silence, punctuated only by the occasional sound of a door closing softly in the night. With every passing day, Calvin's resolve hardened. He knew he had to reclaim his life, even if it meant accepting that the love he once held was gone forever. Realizing that his personal pain and professional legacy were intertwined, Calvin set out to protect both. He assembled a formidable legal and financial team to investigate the breach of trust at Reed Structural Innovations. With painstaking precision, they uncovered evidence that Darren Cole had not only been involved in Marissa's affair but had systematically attempted to siphon off proprietary designs from Calvin's company. Emails, encrypted messages, and security camera footage formed a damning mosaic that threatened to dismantle everything Calvin had built. In tense board meetings and courtroom hearings, Calvin presented his case with a cold, calculated determination. His testimony, supported by incontrovertible evidence, left little room for doubt. Federal agents eventually raided parts of Reed Structural Innovations, arresting Darren and several accomplices on charges of corporate espionage and fraud. The scandal sent shockwaves through the industry, and Calvin's once unassailable reputation was vindicated, but at a high personal cost. Marissa, under intense legal scrutiny and public backlash, attempted to justify her actions as a desperate search for independence. Yet, the cold hard facts could not be denied. As the corporate scandal unfolded, the trust that had once defined the Reed legacy was forever tarnished. Part 8, The Shattering and the Reckoning. Outside the sterile confines of the courtroom, the emotional toll of betrayal weighed heavily on Calvin. Alone in his study, amidst the relics of his past achievements, he allowed himself to grieve the collapse of a dream, a marriage built on trust now reduced to bitter memories. The once vibrant home he shared with Marissa had become a mausoleum of what might have been. Marissa's world, too, was crumbling. The glamorous facade she had meticulously crafted gave way to isolation and regret. Public opinion in Riverbend turned sharply against her, and even those who had once admired her talent now whispered of scandal and deceit. Liana, caught in the crossfire of her family's disintegration, retreated into herself, her eyes mirroring a deep, unspoken sorrow that no words could mend. With every passing day, Calvin felt his resolve solidify. He knew that to move forward, he must sever the ties that bound him to a past filled with betrayal. One bitter morning, after a sleepless night of reflection, he packed a small bag and left the Reed home, quietly, without dramatic farewells. His departure marked not only the end of a once happy union but also the first step toward reclaiming his dignity and forging a new path. As the legal and corporate battles raged on, Calvin focused on rebuilding both his personal life and his professional empire. The divorce was finalized with a settlement that, though painful, allowed him to preserve the integrity of Reed's structural innovations and secure a future free from the venom of betrayal. Determined to turn his pain into purpose, he immersed himself in designing a revolutionary bridge, a structure that would not only redefine earthquake resistance but also stand as a monument to resilience and renewal. During this period of transformation, Calvin unexpectedly found solace in a chance encounter at an industry conference. There, he met Miranda Ellis, a warm and empathetic entrepreneur in her early 40s who had weathered her own share of heartbreak. Their connection, forged through shared values and a mutual determination to rise above past failures, gradually blossomed into a deep friendship that hinted at the possibility of new love. At home, Liana slowly emerged from her shell, inspired by her father's unwavering commitment to move forward. She took on leadership roles in local community initiatives, determined to honor the legacy of strength and creativity that had defined her family. Though the scars of betrayal were deep, the journey toward renewal began to mend the shattered pieces of their lives, one step at a time. Months turned into a season of cautious hope. With the dust of scandal finally settling and the echoes of betrayal gradually fading into memory, Calvin emerged as a transformed leader. Reed's structural innovations rebounded with unprecedented momentum, its stock soaring as independent audits confirmed the accuracy of its new designs. The revolutionary bridge, engineered with precision and a deep understanding of resilience, became a symbol of hope for communities in perilous regions. In his personal life, Calvin embraced the promise of a new beginning. Miranda's steady companionship and genuine warmth rekindled a spark in his heart that he had long feared was extinguished. Though the pain of the past lingered like faint scars, it no longer defined him. Instead, it served as a reminder that from the ruins of broken trust, new strength can emerge. Liana, now blossoming into a confident young adult, found her own voice in creative endeavors and leadership within her community. Together, father and daughter began to rebuild the narrative of their lives, not as victims of betrayal, but as architects of their own futures. Shattered Reflections, The Edge of Freedom, is the story of Calvin Reed, a man who faced the crushing weight of betrayal, fought to protect his legacy, and ultimately discovered that even the deepest wounds can pave the way for new beginnings. Though Marissa's choices and the calculated corporate espionage shattered the trust that had once bound them, they also ignited within Calvin an unwavering determination to rise above the pain. In the aftermath of loss, Calvin found redemption not in clinging to the past but in forging a future built on integrity, resilience, and innovation. With Miranda by his side and Liana's bright future lighting the way, he became a beacon of hope for those who believe that even in our darkest moments, the human spirit can rebuild, renew, and soar. Dear listeners, thank you for joining me on this epic journey through heartbreak, betrayal, and the transformative power of redemption. Please share your thoughts in the comments below, and if this story moved you, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more tales of hope and renewal.